ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be reviewing the movie A Knight's Tale. But of course, before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by a man I first met atop a mountain near Jerusalem. It's the Seeker of Serenity, Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I am the Seeker of Serenity. Yeah, how's it going?
Good, man. What were you doing on top of a mountain in Jerusalem?
I was calling an audible, as listeners may recall. Last week we were set to do "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," but then I got a wild itch over the weekend, and it was my turn to choose the movie, so I called an audible and I chose to go with A Knight's Tale instead to put the boys, keep them on their toes, and then I needed to go and think about it. So I went to Jerusalem.
And ask God for forgiveness.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
It's a long trip.
Good week then, Yeah, I was about to say, watched a lot of movies on the flight to Jerusalem.
Yep.
And back. All right. Also joining us today, of course, you may know him as the protector of Italian virginity, a knight who can trace his lineage back beyond Charlemagne. It's Tyler Vidalis.
What's going on?
Oh, hey, man.
Italian virginity. That's my favorite one of all of them.
I was gonna say you paused, and I was like, "Uh-oh."
Well, I paused because I had it. I was gonna say the Charlemagne part first, and then I just the way I was leading up to it, I was just like, I'll switch them up real quick. All that processing happened in that little pause there. But of course, how you doing this week, Si?
I'm good, man.
Yeah, Warzone coming out tonight.
Work is not tough, and I'm having a good time. So
I've been working from home because I'm on the way up from a COVID spill, and I was at home yesterday, and I looked at my phone. I got a notification at like 2 or 3 that El Trabajo hopped online. Care to comment?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, should I not put that in there? Is Joe gonna get mad? I can cut that.
No, I don't know.
He's probably required him to. He was probably the one that like go home, get online.
He was probably
right now.
they were probably on together. All right. That's funny. But of course, rounding out the squadron this week and most weeks, in Greece, he spent a year in silence just to better understand the sound of a whisper. It's big enforcer of our Lord, BlakeHolder.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, man?
A year in Greece, man.
In silence.
Actually, a dream destination of mine, though. To be honest with you, it'd be I think the top 2, Tokyo's up there, and Mykonos.
Tokyo's definitely up there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say that ballparking both of those would be in my top 5. I'd say for sure.
Now, are any of those islands?
I mean, Greece is, and so
I think Japan.
Well, I know Greece itself.
Japan's technically
right. Okay. Yes, I
Greece
know that. But aren't there like islands off of Greece?
Yeah, that's what I think we're getting at. I think Mykonos is a island off Greece.
I think because I was gonna say I think Mykonos was.
Yeah,
my brother Scott got engaged in Greece last year.
Was it in Mykonos?
Honestly, dude, I think they went there. I don't know if that's where he ended up proposing.
Gotcha.
But
looks beautiful, man.
Yeah, he loved it. Yeah, he loved it, and all their engagement photos are great too, and had a great time over there.
So, one day somehow, right? That's what they always say.
Gentlemen, we had big news drop this week.
Oh yeah,
GTA 6. Everyone's seen the trailer, I'm assuming.
No.
Oh.
You haven't seen the GTA 6 trailer?
I'll be honest, guys. Grand Theft Auto is a game that I do not give a fuck about. Just have never.
I don't play it that
Appreciate
much.
your honesty. I should add in, I've never really even played a GTA because when GTA 5 came out, I was 13 and my dad didn't let me play
6.
it. Okay. bro. Relax. Calm down. But yeah, I was 13. My dad wouldn't let me play it, so I never really played it while it was popular. And by the time that like I was able to get my hands on it, it was like no one was playing, and I just didn't really feel like going back to like a 5-year-old game because like by the time I turned 17, I could like buy it on my own. Was like right around the time Red Dead 2 was coming out anyway, so I was just like, I'm gonna get that one instead, and it ended up being the right decision. But I'm very excited for GTA 6 and for it to be like my first full-fledged Grand Theft Auto game. Ty, Blake, though, you guys play a decent amount of that?
I do not.
No. Okay.
No.
So you say you do not, as in you did not play GTA 5, or you just never really got into GTA in general?
I never really got into GTA in general at all. My brother did, and I just did not care for it at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's something about.
I don't know what it is, man.
For me, it's something about like it's too realistic. Like it is just like somewhat like not like I'm like afraid of like going downtown because someone's gonna come out with a rocket launcher or something like that. But like the missions themselves and like the whole thing of just like driving around a city, like that was never the appeal of gaming to me. Like I'd much rather be in space.
Sure.
Like somewhere I can't go,
right.
you
There's
know,
nothing,
or like a hack and slash, like Prince of Persia or something like that, you know, or even Call of Duty or something like that. It's things outside of like your normal thing. It's the same thing with sports games. I don't play sports games at all either, just because like it just does not.
No,
appeal
I'm with
to
you on
me,
that one. Yeah,
sports games. I'm with
you on that. I totally get why other people find it amazing because you can't just do anything, and it is just mayhem. Like I'm not holding it against anyone that does enjoy your GTAs, but it has never been a game that really appealed to me. And I think it sounds like Tyler too.
Yeah, I just was never really into it. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I didn't play GTA 5 a ton. Played it a little bit when it came out 2013. That's my senior year of college. Or senior year of high school, pardon me.
But I think it is.
So I played it like my freshman year of college. Like me and my roommates had some shit we kind of played like on the side.
Right. And it's great for
really
that.
Big into it. Yeah, right. Now my introduction to GTA was probably GTA 3 through like my older brother when I was like really young. So that's like when I was like got into playing it, but at that age, of course, I'm just driving around doing nonsense. Yep. So I've never really played a full-fledged GTA game, and I think GTA 6 may get me to do it. From seeing the trailer, it taking place in Florida, which is really cool.
The setting, just the Miami setting is gonna be great.
Yeah, very similar to because I think Vice City takes place in Miami.
It's basically Miami. Yeah, it's I don't know where it takes place on the GTA map.
It looks good. I think I'm in. I'll buy it. I'll probably play it. I don't know if I'm gonna play it for the 9-year lifespan it's gonna have, right?
Right.
But I'm sure I'll purchase and play it for a little bit. One thing I did find interesting is the setting and kind of the clips they've used for the trailer are all like real clips of just crazy shit that's happened in Florida. If you look into it,
I love it.
Which I love in general because Atlanta, as you all know, is one of my favorite TV series of all time. They have a small snip in there about Florida, and it's just called like a Florida man.
Yep,
is like the snip. And it's just a bunch of crazy shit, and then like Florida man like isn't a real person; it's just like an entity.
Yep.
Of anything that can happen to any one person in Florida, and that's very much what fucking GTA 6 is going to be. So I'm on board. That was the first thing I thought of. And I'll play it for sure. I'm sure it'll be great.
Maybe we'll get some Back Row Banter like role plays going. Have you seen those playthroughs or like those streams? It became more popular probably like 3 or 4 years ago, where like the people would do streams of them role playing as like a cop in GTA Online. And like you could role play as like, and you could mod the game too because I was on PC, so like you could put in other characters.
Right.
But like people would do like role plays where like they just like act like it's real life, and like a cop would like pull someone over in the server if they were speeding, and then like end up being a shootout, and just it kind of became a big thing 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's still kind of going on, but like became most popular, peaked probably 2019, 2020 around there.
That's the beauty of GTA. So, man, I've seen that. I've seen pieces of that. I've seen people doing like fucking like MTV cribs, like walking to my house. They're like GTA and they're getting their characters. So stuff like that is always cool in GTA. So,
Yeah,
Should be
I'm
fun.
excited to get into it. Although I'm disappointed. 2025 so far away.
You got some
That
I
time.
was
wish
expecting a 2024. That was a long time.
I was also expecting 2024. I wish every game like that would pull like the Fallout. Was it Fallout 6, Fallout 5, Fallout 4? Fallout 4. That's the one, I think. Not a big Fallout guy either, but where Fallout 4 was announced in June and launched in like September. It was like 6 months between launch and release. And like a game like GTA 6, that's what I want, because I don't want to just be teased for another year and a half. Obviously, we know it's coming, but seeing it and like knowing it's on the horizon is way different than like we don't know anything about when it's going to be released. Now that I have a date, now I'm just sitting here anxious, and that's probably what they want. But either way, they have my money, so I don't know. Now I just feel like they're teasing me for no reason.
Yeah. And real quick on that too, to my understanding, it is their first female protagonist.
I saw that as well. I didn't know if that was
GTA.
confirmed. I know there was some female characters in the trailer. I didn't know that was the main character though. But that'd be really cool. That's cool.
That'd be
if
pretty
that's
cool
the-
too. Yeah,
if that's
for
the
them
case,
to step out on that ledge. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, enough GTA talk. Let's talk jousting. Yeah,
That's right.
Nathaniel,
The medieval GTA.
it's your birthday pick. Early birthday pick.
It is my early birthday pick. Yes.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate
on
it.
pod, of course. Actually, I think are we?
What day is your
when
birthday,
we-
man?
My birthday
That's such
will
a male
be
friend question.
next Wednesday, December 13th.
The 13th.
Oh, okay. So
we
we do
get in
have
the
one
calendar,
more.
man.
Week from
We
today.
have one more app potentially.
And what's that?
before-
31.
I will be 31. Yeah, 31 on the 13th.
31, yeah.
Cool.
Reverse golden birthday.
Well, with that being said, would you like to introduce the review segment for your birthday pick?
I suppose I could do so, folks. For those of you who are new listeners, or maybe you've just forgotten, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who directed it, what year it came out, all that good stuff. We'll decide if it's got a good IMDb summary. We'll go around the squadron and decide if we would recommend the movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And from then on, it'll be spoiler time. If you don't want to have anything spoiled for you for a 20-year-old movie at this point, go ahead and check out. But if you do want to hear where it checks in on our Entropy list, be sure to check our show notes and see where it ranks, as well as when to come back and listen to the rest of the pod. Adam, tell me about A Knight's Tale.
I would love to. This is A Knight's Tale. It is not a new movie. Released in the year 2001. Rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 12 minutes and an IMDb rating of 6.9 out of 10. Directed by Brian Helgeland.
Yeah,
Am
I
I
think
pronouncing
so.
that right?
Helgeland.
Helgeland? I don't know. Written and directed by him. He, as I'm looking at his IMDb, not a ton of directing credits, but writing credits. He did the Russell Crowe Robin Hood, and he also wrote 42, the Jackie Robinson movie with why am I blanking on his name? Someone help. Chadwick Boseman. Thank you.
Yep. I think other people might know him. He wrote L.A. Confidential, and then I'm pretty sure he might have written Man on Fire as well too, the Denzel Washington.
This girl is on fire.
He did in fact write that as well.
Yeah. So, guy that's been working for a while now. Not as much as a director, definitely as a writer as well too.
Yeah. Of course, the cast includes, it's a pretty good one too. It's Heath Ledger, Rufus Sewell, let me see, Shannon Sossamon. I'm not too familiar with her, and I didn't really recognize her too much in the movie. But do you know? Is there somewhere else I might know her from?
The thing that like audiences in your generation might know her best from would be Sinister 2, I think. And I think she's also in One Missed Call, if I'm not mistaken.
You made me onto something, man, because I was watching this and I was like, what do I know this woman from?
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out. And the Sinister 2 and the One Missed Call, I need to confirm the One Missed Call, but the Sinister 2 was for sure what it is.
Yep.
One missed call.
So yeah, thanks for confirming that.
Nope.
Yeah,
not a problem.
she is.
So one
missed call.
Yep.
Yeah, she's in it. She's Beth Raymond.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that was one of those the whole fucking movie, dude. I was like, what do I know this lady?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's here.
This is a weirdly stacked cast in like strange
It
ways.
is.
It is. Like you have Berenice Bejo who plays Shannon Sossaman's like lady in waiting. She's won an Oscar. She won an Oscar for The Artist in like 2011. That silent movie.
Yeah.
That everyone
the silent one.
Yeah, that everyone's forgotten about. Obviously, you got Mark Addy, probably best known nowadays as Robert Baratheon. He's like one of Heath's good buddies. Alan Tudyk in there as well too. As Watt.
Who like I've seen this before, and like I forgot he was in this.
Yep.
But he's so like not only is he so young in this, but I've like never seen his characters after this movie were so different.
Sure.
He's never really this quirky or charismatic, or kind of like out there as he is in his roles following.
I think the other big one would be Paul Bettany as Chaucer.
Paul Bettany, right? Who, if you don't know, is the voice of Jarvis and is Vision in the MCU.
Also true.
Yeah. I think that's the main cast here. I don't think I'm skipping over anyone.
The only other person I'd say that people may recognize would be James Purfoy, but he's more of a
name does sound familiar.
Interesting pull. Like he's in a lot of, I think he's in a lot of like kind of cable shows, like The Killing. I think he was in like the American version of that for a while and stuff. He's pretty cool.
Cool. Okay. Well, with all of that being said, the IMDb summary reads as follows. After his master dies, a peasant squire, fueled by his desire for food and glory, creates a new identity for himself as a knight. Sure, why not? That's a decent summary.
It's true.
Yeah, Heath Ledger, squire to a knight, and uses that knight's name to become a knight himself. And then it's jousting. It's a little bit of sword fighting. It's a lot of fun, you know. This is not my first time, which I would think Nathaniel you might be surprised by, but of course this has the Dave Schwartz, Papa Schwartz stamp of approval.
Hell yeah.
He has this one on DVD, which is how we watched it. I don't know
DVD
how long he's on a regular DVD, not Blu-ray, not 4K.
And you were okay with that quality?
It was rough. It was a little,
I mean,
it was a little rough.
Might have
Yeah, no, yeah.
Hulu.
I was thinking about it. I was like, it might actually look better on Hulu. But
I'll take the ads for the extra 480p.
Right, exactly. But no, I mean, we got through it, guys. It's okay. It's, you know, not everything needs to be 4K all the time.
Anyone see that Guillermo del Toro tweet from like the last 2 weeks that's like, if you own DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K UHDs, you are the stewards of physical media. You are the ones that are going to like keep this going forward. You have a responsibility. I was like, damn, bro, I'm out here crying on Twitter.
Fight the good fight.
Yeah, just with my stack of DVD cases. GDT's got me ready to run through a brick wall. But I'm glad to hear this has got the Papa Schwartz seal of approval.
It does, yes. It has his stamp of approval. So I saw this when I was very young. I probably around 10 or so. And then I saw it again more recently, probably in the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
And I think this is probably my third time watching it. Great movie though. I will say that right off the bat. Blake, first time watch?
Yeah, first time watch. Honestly, this is only the third Heath Ledger movie I've seen.
Okay.
So obviously Dark Knight, I've seen Brokeback Mountain, and I can't think of the other joint, but off the top of my head, the joint with Halle Berry and Billy Bob. What's his name?
Monsters Ball?
Yes.
Okay.
Monsters Ball. So those are the only 3 other Heath Ledger films I've seen. So yeah, first watch here. So I wasn't even really unsure what it was when Nathaniel put it in the chat. Then I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay. Don't think I even had any recollection of it or anything like that. So put it on was able to stream it, and yeah, I like it. Not my preferred genre, I would say. But I did like it. I like the story. I like the love interest in it. There's also some funny bits in there as well, in my opinion. There's a few scenes that are shot well. Particularly the dance hall scene. I guess I don't know what term.
That makes sense.
But yeah, right. So like that scene, banquet hall, right? So yeah, overall, I liked it for sure. Watching this, you can, and I don't know where they lie in chronological order of Heath Ledger. I would assume this is one of the earliest, right?
It's
Brokeback Mountain's like what, 05?
Yeah, I think it was basically 10 Things I Hate About You, and then this, if I'm not mistaken, is like kind of Heath Ledger's start.
Sure. So,
as I'm looking at IMDb, pretty much he did some TV shows here and there, and then he was in The Patriot.
Oh yeah, he is in The Patriot.
I haven't seen that either though.
That's a sick movie.
And then it's this. Yeah,
it's basically Braveheart set in America, but you know.
Okay, right. But yeah, so seeing this and seeing early Heath Ledger, one you can admire him a little more, right? And watching this, you can see where he has the talent and the star one could have been.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
In a more somber note. So yeah, overall, I liked it. Ran smooth. Like I said, can't really complain too much about the runtime. Had some interesting character development. Like I said, I like the love interest. I like the funny bits, and there were some scenes that I really found impactful. So yeah, overall, I like it. Still don't think that I can go on the ledge and say of that fantasy genre, which I believe this would still fall in that lane, right?
Yeah,
I still don't think we have. Okay, so like, what would you call this then? So I guess we can start the dialogue.
Like
is this not a fantasy genre?
No, I mean I would say it's more medieval. Like it's a medieval sports movie. It's medieval Rocky in a lot of ways. Like
right. Okay, but so medieval movies though don't classify as fantasy.
No, not always.
I guess in my head, I would have always classified
because it's history too, right? Like we did live through medieval times.
Very true. Very true.
I think for me, fantasy comes into play when it's like other elements that aren't true to our like life.
If there's magic,
like, I'm not saying this is a one-to-one recreation of what medieval times was like and jousting was like, but if there was an elf, then it's certainly not.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that's when I would consider it fantasy, is when it kind of steps out of our realm a little bit.
Okay, I gotcha. But we wouldn't say this like this isn't a timepiece. It's not Napoleon.
No, it's not a biopic or
right. So it's got a weird.
Yeah, it's just a
small market for it.
Yeah, it's a sports movie set in the 1800s or in the 700s or wherever it actually is, 15s or something like that.
It's such a wild blend of genre, and I think that's why I love it, and I think that's why Nathaniel loves it.
Yeah, I do like this one a lot. We'll talk about it a bit. I can go last. Tyler, you can go. Unless Blake, you have more to talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. Do you get anything else?
Ty's got it
for sure. Yeah, this is definitely not my first watch. I've seen this on quite a few occasions. I'm a big fan of Heath Ledger. There's absolutely no telling what we would have if he was still around. But I have always had a very fond relationship with this movie. I just think there's something very magical about it, even though there's no magic. You get some kind of humor aspects of kind of like your kind of like your old British kind of comedy.
Sure.
Like a little bit of Monty Python feel.
Yeah, it's written to the script, but there's also a physical comedy element in there as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I always have been. I always will be. I love the love story aspect. Everybody knows that I'm kind of a not kind of. I'll just I'm a hopeless romantic. So that's all fun and games, and I love the time period. It's always been a fun time period for me to either play video games through or watch movies through or read books through or whatever. So it's definitely cool that it's in an appealing era for me. So yeah, I'm a huge recommend on this. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam. No, you go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say I didn't talk in depth on it, but I'm already very high in this movie. Have liked it every time I've watched it, and really enjoyed it again this time around. I think for me, it's one like I kind of forget about until I watch it again, and then I just remember how good it is every single time. So I mean, that's definitely what happened in between watches for me, where like A Knight's Tale isn't one I'm actively thinking about, or actively like kind of remembering or reminiscing about. And then when I sat down to watch it again this time, I was like, this movie has so many good jokes. It's so much fun. The music and everything that they mix into it, like the modern music that they mix in, it's just so smart. It's not really trying to it doesn't take itself seriously at all, but it's not the fantasy. It's not like it
still
doesn't
earnest.
go too over the edge. Exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. Still earnest. So it doesn't go too over the edge on anything in particular. Yeah, just such a fun movie. Such a great cast of characters, a great cast itself. Yeah, really enjoy it. Now, Nathaniel, please speak.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously my pick. This is a movie that, like, if someone asked me, hey, Nathaniel, what's your favorite movie? A lot of times I'll say this one, just because it is, like, in terms of I might have even made the distinction on this podcast, but, like, your favorite movie is not necessarily the best movie that you've seen, and that's a pretty important distinction to have in life, I think, for film critics in general. And, like, this is one of those movies that is a DNA movie to me at the point where, like, I was already watching movies when I first saw this, because I think I was probably 3rd or 4th grade, but it was the one that, like, I immediately went back and rented from Blockbuster like 2 more times, because it was just, it hit all of those things where, similar to Tyler, I was a guy that I did love the fantasy genre or like time periods at this point. I loved Lord of the Rings. This was like a kind of, shoot off from that or something in that same kind of vein. I think Adam hit it on the head. It is a very kind of light movie overall. It's not something that takes itself seriously overall at all. It is just kind of an earnest movie. And it's a movie that I think has been in some ways replaced by the Marvel kind of side of things, where everything is just kind of like, yeah, this is nerdy and weird, but we're joking about it, so it's fine. And this is much more like, nah, it's nerdy and we're not joking about it. We're joking because there's funny things happening, but it's also like we're here to tell this story as well too, and it is a very earnest, story we've seen time and time again, but with just different elements to it. And I think another thing you pointed out, the music is great. That's one thing I know Brian Helgeland has talked about, of like, he wanted to create an atmosphere of like what it would feel like to be at one of these events if you were there during the time, and it would feel like they were playing rock music, or it would feel like they're playing modern contemporary music or something like that. And so that was his kind of idea of mixing those two genres a little bit more, and kind of having a mid-2000s sports movie but setting it in medieval times as well too, and having the hero's journey of a man that came from nothing and kind of gets what he wants through hard work. So yeah, I have a huge soft spot for this movie. I've probably seen it 30 times maybe. Like, it's one of those ones I know backwards and forwards. If I'm sick and feeling down or something, I'll put on A Knight's Tale and just, it's a good time.
Would you consider this a DNA movie for you?
Yeah, I think it maybe isn't like one of those DNA. Maybe it's a puberty movie for me. It's like it's not like a DNA, but it's like once you hit that, like I'm growing up a little bit, things are starting to change, but now I can make my own choices in some ways. This is one of those for you.
It's a peach fuzz movie.
It's a peach fuzz movie. Yeah. It's my voice dropped,
right.
and I'm starting to think funny about girls. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. We'll have to keep that term going. I'm definitely recommend. I'm assuming Nathaniel's a recommend.
I am a big old recommend.
Ty, Blake?
Yes, I stated that I was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend it for sure.
Cool. Well, if you haven't seen it yet and want to see it, it's currently streaming on Hulu. But if you have not seen it and want to skip the spoiler segment, check that episode description where I've left a timestamp. You can jump to where you'll be taken to our ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list. Nathaniel, spoiler time, please.
Give some applause for us.
Cool. I didn't hear a single thing.
That's okay. You didn't have to hear. The crowd was chanting and applauding.
Were they?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So spoilers. Shit goes down.
So spoilers. I
Shit
miss
does
Heath
go down.
Ledger. I miss him.
Yeah, that
It is for me. I think it's, and we've talked about Heath Ledger. It was one of the first things we talked about on the podcast because I remember Nathaniel had beef with my brother for saying that Heath Ledger there was a discrepancy where it was, you said Heath Ledger would have been the best actor of his generation had he had more time, and my brother interpreted that as he was the best actor of his generation, which he said you couldn't argue based on what he was able to get done. So I definitely think that's such a big what if in terms of like film stuff, or like film history of like what if we had more Heath Ledger, like what would we have gotten?
It's definitely going to be one of those big tragedies, similar to like, I don't know, maybe like film Kurt Cobain or something like that, where it's just that kind of generational talent that is taken too soon.
Right.
He's a huge presence in this, and again, I think to kind of what Blake was saying earlier, you can tell early on that like his screen presence and his charisma is just at that superstar level already, basically, or it will be soon. I think in this movie he's matched really well by Rufus Sewell as a villain. I like that he is just kind of a just a mean old bastard, and like that just is his role, and he's just completely in it. He wears all black armor, has the all black horse and everything as well too.
In a time where villains were just villains.
That's right. We don't need to humanize him.
No
Let him just
sloppy backstory. I just hate this guy.
He's just a prick. He's a cheat too. He's a dirty cheat. And,
he's a dirty cheat.
And I think the supporting cast in this is another thing that just like they are so strong. It helps out so much in this movie. The comedic timing on Tudyk and Mark Addy, even Laura Fraser, who joins the group kind of later as the lady blacksmith. I think she's really great in this as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Paul Bettany once he kind of joins the group, which is a really weird addition anyways, because Paul Bettany is playing Geoffrey Chaucer, who wrote obviously the original Canterbury Tales, one of which is The Knight's Tale. So like it's this weird kind of thing where like this movie is not an adaptation at all of A Knight's Tale, the 1100-year-old text, but it is just like he does appear as a character in it. And then even like the other two people that he meets that are like the guys that are the debt collectors that are supposed to be collecting from him at the start of the first tournament or whatever, they're also characters that do end up in the Canterbury Tales and are like treated very poorly. So when he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll remember your names. I'll eviscerate you in fiction," that is kind of true as well too. It's just a very, very weird movie in that sense as well, and kind of like what it decides to tie itself to.
Right. I think it's a fun choice to make though.
Yeah, I mean,
because as I was happening, I was like, oh, recognize Chaucer, and he referenced like with those two people, he referenced how I'll eviscerate you in fiction, and I was like, is that a reference to like a different story somewhere?
It is, yeah.
I haven't read Canterbury Tales, so I can tell you that much.
Very few people have, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Watch A Knight's Tale instead. But
okay,
yeah, it's written in like full on Old English, so like it's hard to just even comprehend a lot of what's going on.
Gun to your head, gun to your balls. Canterbury Tales or A Green Knight.
Oh, I read Green Knight. I like Green Knight. I would rather read Green Knight.
Okay. Even though I think that's probably older, right? Or is it around the same time?
It's around the same time, if not a little more new. Because Green Knight, I believe, is Ben Jonson, who was a contemporary of Shakespeare's. Or no, is that Fairy Queen? It might be around the same time as Chaucer. Generally, I want to say Chaucer might be a little bit older, though. I don't know.
Gotta love that match.
Literary podcast people, don't come at me.
Let's talk about the big action of this movie, the jousts.
Okay.
Because holy crap, do they look good, dude? Every single time, they just keep charging back at each other. And since Papa Schwartz has the DVD, not this watch, but I think our previous watch, we watched like the behind the scenes.
Sure.
You know, you don't get those behind the scenes on the streaming services, people. Only on those hard copy physical media.
It's true.
Okay, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. But yeah, we watched like the behind the scenes of how they shot it and everything, and just like they just full on were just jousting. Just it's just in 2001, just full on, like no CGI, all practical.
We went to Czechoslovakia. Really cool, we got 40,000 people. We put them in a pen somewhere, and then we just jousted. We got it done for real.
Yeah. But yeah, just great camera effects. I don't know what they did to those lances, but just how they splinter every time. Fantastic.
So they're basically balsa wood, and they were hollowed out and filled with dried spaghetti. So when they would break, and then you'd have all the different splinters come shooting out, it was all the dried spaghetti, basically.
Okay. Smart. But I was watching, I'm like, they did something to those things, dude, because wood just doesn't explode like that.
No, I believe it was a safety thing where like they kind of knew where the lances would break, and then they would fill them with kind of the extra stuff as well too.
Smart, yeah. I knew it was got to be some cool stuff like that, but it definitely works. There's one other thing I was gonna say. Totally forgot. I'll think back to it or I'll circle back to it if I remember. But yeah, the joust, it always, every single sequence there looks great. The perspectives too, where just the way they cut back and forth between like almost a first person view of each guy charging at each other. Yeah, it's really effective, because if they don't do that, if they try to find a way to skirt around how these jousts look, this movie's not this movie. I think, you know, as much as we talk about how like fun and entertaining, how like funny this movie is and everything, I do think like the jousting is each tournament is kind of what keeps you going to the next one. It's not necessarily just the main character. Like you do want to see the jousts when they happen. Like,
absolutely,
you kind of get excited for it. Yeah. I remember what I was going to say. You mentioned Czechoslovakia.
Sure.
And I'm sure I don't know if you've heard the story. I would assume you might have. The sword fighting ring
oh,
scene.
Yeah, I have heard this story.
You know the story I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell that?
No, you can go ahead. I've said a couple production stories at this point.
Sure. Well, so they filmed it in Czechoslovakia. I couldn't remember the country. I remember hearing the story. I couldn't remember the country, so I mentioned it to my dad.
It might be the Czech Republic at this point, but yeah.
Okay, sure. But they were filming there. Not everyone there speaks English. So the extras that they had were just the extras from whatever town they were filming in, or just the locals, basically. And so since they didn't speak English, they had no clear way of knowing, or they had no idea what Paul Bettany's saying as he's standing in the sword fighting ring. And so they have no clue when they should really kind of start cheering and everything. So if you watch closely, in the background, in the middle of his speech, you'll see two extras in the front row like wave their arms up and then put them back down and look around nervously, because Paul Bettany made like a big gesture and they missed the cue. And then eventually, I don't know the exact story of how it lines up, because they cut to
Mark Addy.
They cut to him. But I think in the first take or whatever it was, like someone did have to go like, yeah, and like get everyone to cheer,
they had to be prompted,
or whatever it is. And I think they just kind of went with that and did another take where they cut to Mark Addy. But yeah, so that whole scene isn't improvised as to like when no one starts cheering for Paul Bettany. Like that was actually the reaction of the extras, because they just didn't know when they were supposed to cheer.
Yep.
Because they didn't speak English. So yeah, that definitely, I remember hearing that story. I don't remember where, but a funny thing that I was like, oh yeah, this, because I didn't really remember it until I saw the extras do this, and I was like, oh yeah, it was a funny part of that scene.
Blake, you mentioned the dance sequence. I personally am of the opinion that more films should have an unprompted David Bowie dance sequence in the middle of it as well.
Oh yeah. I liked it, and to your point, it's cool how it starts off. You're viewing it as the viewer of how one would think that scenario plays, like thinking back on time. Then eventually, like the music changes, and it was pretty cool. Where, to your point, that's probably how the people there felt like these dance sequences go
right,
these banquet halls. So that was one of the really more interesting things that popped out to me on first view. And I was like, you know what, that was actually really cool. So I would say that was one of the more impactful things, as well as even kind of just the smaller bits between Heath Ledger and so he chooses the princess. But then like I would think the point of the plot is to argue that he probably could have gone with like the lady who was like the blacksmith. I don't know. At least that's kind of like the vibe that I was getting.
I think
I don't know.
I think it's more just he was always after the princess, and it's more that he is a peasant going after the princess kind of thing. And the big motif of it is change your stars, obviously.
Okay, for sure. So maybe my takeaway is just like, man, well, like blacksmith was like a cute lady and seemed pretty down to earth. Like, you know, like that would be like the route you probably should take. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that was kind of funny too. But yeah, overall, I mean, I liked it. To Adam's point, the jousting sequences, which there's a handful of those, are always good, and even kind of the banter between him and I forgot the other gentleman's name, where Heath Ledger's like, oh, like, did she watch me? Was she nervous?
Oh, yeah.
Like, things like that. You kind of see like those are genuine questions that probably would happen in events like that, right? If you're trying to impress somebody. So, yeah, it had some remarkable traits to it that I found. It's definitely a product of its time.
100%.
It's definitely like a 2000s movie for sure. I think this came out in 01. So definitely time capsuled me right back into the early 2000s.
Did you?
Like, I'm surprised I haven't seen this in like middle school for like a school project or something like that.
Did you like the invention of the Nike swoosh?
On the arm. That bit, yeah.
yeah, for sure. That was pretty cool.
And they just get around copyright by putting two of them. It's one logo. Right. It's one logo.
I find the like, and maybe this is because like again I've said I did kind of grow up this movie, but I do find the relationship between the Heath Ledger character and his father very kind of earnest and endearing as well too, where he sends his son off to the mainland Europe when he's young, and then he returns later and finds out that his dad is now blind and is a net maker basically as well too, and him meeting with him back in London, and kind of the final act of the movie, him kind of deciding between, or trying to be forced between these two, who he thinks he is and kind of who society is telling him that he has to be, and everything as well too. I don't know. I found that whole storyline emotionally affecting. In a lot of ways.
No, I 100% agree. And it comes out of nowhere a little bit too, because you don't know that story until basically the third act when they go to that flashback, and so it kind of just comes out of nowhere at you when they're going into London. So yeah, for them to like develop that kind of story beat that late into the story, where not a lot of build up to it. Obviously, you see the flashback to his dad telling him he could be a knight, but then to further develop that later on with like such little time, yeah, it was definitely a great little storyline to add in at the end. I think it made the ending, just the whole last act, much more effective in that.
Before we get on to favorite moments here or something like that, I will ask, is it the opinion of the Back Row Banter that the king or the prince made up William's backstory and just kind of as a thank you, or did he actually think that he discovered he was descended from a royal line of knights?
I think he made it up.
Oh, he definitely made it up.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, it's a bro moment, and it also just kind of like justifies that, like, if you are just genuinely a good person and treat people the way that you would also want to be treated, or don't take into effect their status all the time, and look at them as a human being, then you'll probably get something in return, or obviously you shouldn't expect something in return, but it's in good favor.
I agree. Yeah, I never really considered
read it as
actually
I
never really read it as, oh, he actually went and did he actually go find out his ancestry? Like, no, I just always kind of assumed he was just kind of BSing it on the spot. And talk about a crowd with no loyalty, throwing food at him 1 second, cheering his name the next. Yeah, wow. I don't know how to feel about that.
Right?
Yeah, it is sports.
Yeah, right.
It's
Yeah, it
true.
is.
That's
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Do we have any favorite moments or favorite bits? Because I think my favorite bit in this movie is Paul Bettany being the introductory announcer.
Okay.
Which the he spent a year in Greece in silence. That whole bit is really good.
Everyone
Yeah,
else here not
that's
sitting
probably
on
my
a
favorite
cushion.
part. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Paul Bettany is so good in this. That it makes me happy that he's kind of like back into a spot where he's like getting roles and stuff. And outside of MCU as well. Because I remember hearing a story from him in an interview that I saw a clip of where basically there's like a 3 or 4 year gap leading into Iron Man where like he just couldn't really get much going and none of his roles really landed, and his agent eventually just called him and was like, hey, like you might just want to consider not acting anymore, like what that looks like. And so he got off that call, and it wasn't but a few hours later that he got a call back for Jarvis and changed the trajectory of his career and his life, basically just getting that one role. So that close to kind of just giving up on it.
It's true. I also like to keep in mind he is married to Jennifer Connelly, so he probably would have been
Well,
okay.
sure. Oh, I'm not saying he would have been struggling in life. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, I'm just fucking with you.
I wasn't suggesting he was about to be put out on the street.
Yeah, no, but Paul Bettany's great in this. There's a ton of just like one-liners in this that I think are great as well too. I think one that Tyler and I used to say back and forth to each other is "It's called a Lance." Hello. The Alan Tudyk, a lot of great Watt lines in this as well too. Trying to think off the top of my head. I just had one from earlier. That'll come back to me. Any other favorite scenes from Tyler or Blake?
Mine is going to be that banquet hall sequence.
The banquet, but yeah, that's fair.
I've always been a big fan of the jousting stuff.
Of course.
And then I think the moment with his father is pretty impactful, regardless of kind of like how Adam was saying. There really was no lead up or any kind of there wasn't a ton of foreshadowing to like that was going to be a storyline. They just kind of made it announced that obviously he comes from somewhere, and this is his dad. But it's cool that it was so impactful with how much they didn't really play to it in the beginning or throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for the ending. I mean, the whole like escalation of where like he gets the tipped lance into the underneath the armor, and then they take the armor off, and then Paul Bettany's got to play for time there, and introduces him as Sir William. It's all great to me. Like, it all builds up so good for me emotionally.
Yeah. I also really like that Rufus Sewell, his announcer.
He
just sucks.
Yeah. Well, he gets a little bit of redemption at the end.
And he's trying like so hard to just
copy.
Yeah. Like at one point he's talking about like he's like, hey, he's got a big dick, and basically it's like, like when you hear that, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
what is this asshole doing?
I got it on in the background here. You see Paul Bettany shining the mirror in his face, and he's like, his protector of his enormous manhood.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And then just the love story, and there's there's always like people talking about, like that chick's out of your league or whatever it is. Like, bro, this was a time where status was everything. It didn't matter if you thought they were attractive. You just couldn't because of, where they were in life in comparison to where you are. And, just take your shot, bro. You never know.
Yeah, William got that riz,
I mean,
the letter writing scene is good, where they all go around.
I was about to
mention
that as
bits.
well.
Yeah,
I did like that little bit too. Yeah, definitely a good bit there. Yeah, definitely a good love story. I think. I love when she's like, "You will lose this tournament for me," and then, but knocks him to the elimination rounds. Actually, you should win it. Great little back and forth there.
What are you doing? Losing. Why? Because I love her.
and then when he goes back out to win, he's like, "Man, I hate her."
Yeah, there she is. Your Venus. Well, now I hate her.
Yeah. Definitely a fun movie. Good pick, Nathaniel. And
this is one.
Sorry to listeners who.
Yeah, this is one I've been wanting to get on the pod for a while. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see where it goes on the Entropy list. But as a fan of this movie, I think it's time. Everyone, Justice for A Knight's Tale. Everyone should watch it.
I hope this does come back around at some point, like American Psycho, where it's like, oh, this is one of the greatest things ever.
Rules.
Like I hope, like someone's scrolling through Hulu one day and tweets about it.
Has it
and
had a
resurgence?
I don't really think so.
Not to the American Psycho level.
Yeah,
that's like
it should come back around.
It's one of those
bound
movies.
to. And maybe we're gonna kick off the resurgence. Actually, we are. This is the beginning.
It's one of those movies that like is always available on some streaming service, in some way. Like I have a Blu-ray copy that I bought at Best Buy it was in the $5 bin at one point. And then my digital copy, I think, was one of those movies that came free with Vudu when you like signed up. It was like one of the 20 movies that was just there given to you, basically.
Yeah.
But you know what? We needed to get viral on TikTok. So then it'll have its Gen Z appreciation arc.
Sure.
So
release the 4K, you cowards.
There you go.
You cowards.
All right. Do we have anything else that we want to touch on here before we head out of spoilers?
No. I think I'm good.
I just want to say, actually, I'll say this outside of spoilers. I think it's better be said outside of spoilers. But anyway, welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler section of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and throw A Knight's Tale up upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we've ever reviewed on the podcast, all ranked compared to one another. It's essentially how we do our ratings, rather than do out of 5 stars, whatever it is. We throw them all up on the list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to see the Entropy list for yourself, it's linked in the episode description. 171. Cool. Well, I'll kick it off right away by saying this is so much better than Last Duel.
Okay.
So that is immediately where I'm starting. It is at least 97, which actually looking at the movies below it, I'm on board for. How much further up will it climb?
How high?
I got a spot.
Go for it.
What are you thinking?
89. Below A Quiet Place and above Prey.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that's very fair. Because then you hit Barbarian, and then I go, ooh, Barbarian's good. Barbarian, Malignant, The Descent, Fableman's, La La Land. Like that's when you get into like you're approaching A tier there, and like this is A tier, but I don't know if I'd put it above those. I think this is gonna still kind of fill that gap between A Quiet Place and Prey for me.
Yeah, I think you're on the right path. I was looking for and kind of placing it there, ballparking. But to your point, yeah, once you get like 86 Soul, 85 Barbarian, The Descent 83, it's tough. I mean, it's actually crazy thinking out loud that we now have about 85 movies on here that are all like, you know what? These are all pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's tough.
89 sounds way worse than it actually is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, La La Land's at 81. Like that's all. And the Fableman's is 82. Fableman's is a fucking great movie. Like,
Predator,
that's really good.
Fucking Predator 79.
Yeah, you're good.
All-time classic. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm rolling in the same area. I'll put this above The Conjuring 2 and below Frozen. So I think I'm going to go 96.
96. Okay.
Yeah, I think Frozen was a little tough, and then getting it above The Strangers was difficult for me for sure.
Valid.
Tyler, you want to go ahead?
No, I kind of want to see where you're gonna be at because you
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna blow this. Yeah.
Influence.
I mean, this is one that like again, I objectively can't rate. Like we've talked about this before. There's been movies like this on there in the past where, and I think our present or our policy has always been, you put it where your heart wants to put it.
100%.
So, I mean, I'm way up higher than either of our two votes so far. I am going to stash this guy. I'm gonna put it at 14. I'm gonna put it below
Big
Arrival,
numbers.
and I'm gonna put it above Whiplash.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. You said 14 or 40?
14. 1-4.
14. Oh man. Yeah, I don't think I saw it coming that high from you, but then you have to understand that this is also his birthday pick. So it means a lot to him.
It's true.
Right? People aren't just throwing out the fucking run-of-the-mill
Right.
films for their birthday.
It's true.
No, it makes sense.
I can't deny what the heart wants, folks.
Yeah,
That's
facts, man. Facts.
That's where I'm putting it up there. I mean, again, there's movies in there that objectively I think are better films. But if we're in there talking about our favorite movies and where we would rank this if we were sitting down, watching stuff or something like that, that's me even, adjusting for outside the top 10 of like being like, 10 are diamond movies. The top 10 are movies that all day, every day, they're going to be there. So, 14, below Arrival, above Whiplash.
Bet.
Whiplash.
I am going to be
15.
No, I'm not. I'm not that high. I do love and appreciate this movie. I think this movie is fantastic. It's always gonna have like that Bond factor too with me with Heath Ledger. This is like a Gone Too Soon, and this is like one of those times or one of those movies where like, but other than the Joker where his performance is outstanding, this is where you don't have to see him in makeup. You get to kind of genuinely see who he is without going too crazy into what the Joker is, and this will always be an appreciation movie for me for him.
Yeah, maybe his most kind of straight-laced leading man role in some ways, where obviously like he is the lead or one of the co-leads in Brokeback Mountain, but like he's not your traditional lead in that one either too. Like, and obviously he's the villain in Dark Knight. This might be his most kind of prestigious leading man kind of roles.
I would agree. And yeah, there are better movies out there like Nathaniel was saying, but it's built so strong into how I have viewed things when I watched this as a teenager, and just kind of what that is. And yeah, so it's special, and so I will be at man, I'm really kind of torn, but I think I'm gonna be at 42, just below Kill Bill. I really wanted to go above Requiem, but Kill Bill, I just will not let it go past.
Yeah. That's fair. That is fair.
What was that number again?
42.
42.
Below Kill Bill, above Training Day.
That'll give us a average ranking of 60.25, meaning we would tie break it with Pig.
Which I think was another birthday pick of mine a few years ago, right?
Was it last year's?
It might have
been 2 years ago. Yeah, it might have been. Sounds about right. I know we watched it around December time because I think it came out in November. Yeah. Above or below Pig? I actually don't know.
I'm honestly,
Pig's not one I remember too well.
I am either or on that
like,
one. I think either one of those are great choices.
Says the man who just ranked this movie at 14.
Hey, man. Pig was my other birthday choice.
You're above. I'll go above as well. Why not? Blake, you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Blake's like, I'm not cool with putting this that high at all.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it.
All right, cool. So we'll leave Pig there at 61, we'll leave A Knight's Tale there at 60, below Kill Bill Volume 2, and above Pig at 61. That's going to do it here for our main review segment. What I was going to say at the end of spoilers, and I will say now, is apologies, folks, for switching it up on you. As Nathaniel said, he already made a trip to Jerusalem to beg for your forgiveness. So, hopefully you can accept our forgiveness. With that being said, I did put out a tweet about it on the Back Row Banter Twitter page. So, if you're not following us there, it's honestly your own fault. You could just be following us at Banter Row on Twitter/X. Follow us there, and then you wouldn't be so confused, because I think the tweet went out a little late, maybe Friday or Saturday. I don't know. Regardless, though, tweet did go out. So, it's on you for not following us on Twitter and for not seeing that sooner. With that being said, though, that completes our review this week of A Knight's Tale. Next week's review, we have it tentatively scheduled to be either Poor Things or The Boy and the Heron. But I think we need to just call an audible again and go straight for Godzilla Minus One. Are we all on board with that? Because based on the buzz online, everyone's raving about this movie, and it's getting a lot of buzz. And the reason we weren't considering it was because it was a foreign film, and I personally assumed, probably wrongly, that it might not have gotten the buzz it's getting. I'm glad it is, but I just wasn't expecting it. And we're all seeing the movie this weekend. So Nathaniel's not here right now; he stepped away, but we'll double check with him. But I think that's what we'll end up doing. If that's cool with you guys.
Yep.
Ty, that cool with you?
Tough. Pretty.
Do you want to do? Do you want to do a different one?
Well, you said The Boy and the Herring, right?
Yeah, and this was my follow-up point to that, Nathaniel. Now that you're back, we have Poor Things and The Boy and the Heron on the schedule. However, I was thinking we would go with Godzilla Minus One instead. Thoughts?
Works for me. I mean, I'll be seeing that regardless. I think we all will.
Right, that's what I figured. We're all gonna see it, and it's getting a lot of buzz online, so I figured that's probably a good one to go with.
Yeah.
All right. To Tyler, your point, Boy and the Heron, I am for sure seeing that. So if you want to do a little bit of sizzle at either, I don't know if it's Nathaniel or Blake, if either of you guys are planning on seeing that as well. But I'm seeing Boy and the Heron for sure. And we can do like a bit of sizzle at maybe if you want to do a review of that one as well.
Sure.
Yeah,
Cool.
We can always figure something out.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, then, listeners, your assignment is to watch Godzilla Minus One. As I've been saying, it's getting great reviews. I'm pretty excited for it. So check that out. I saw on Twitter today the theatrical run got extended to December 14th. So you do have some extra time to go and see that if you have not seen it already. I don't know if/when it would be on a streaming service. So if you missed it in theaters, don't know when you would be able to see it again. So, yeah, check that out in theaters. It's also a movie you want to see in theaters. It's supposed to be movie of the year. I think, was it Spielberg called it the pinnacle of cinema?
I don't know. I haven't heard that yet.
I saw that quote today on Twitter, I think, or pinnacle of filmmaking, something like that. I think it was Spielberg. It was Spielberg or Scorsese, one of the two said that. Saw that quote on Twitter today. So high praise. Go check it out. Join us for a review of that next week. How much time we got? I mean, we're pretty early on episode time, only 103. I don't know. Tyler, I know you're in a slight rush to get out of here, so do we want to do one round of what we're watching, or do we want to skip it, come back around next week? What are we thinking?
We can. I don't care.
Let's do one round. I'm going to do a thing or two. Nathaniel, early birthday boy, what you got?
Yeah, so I checked out a couple movies this week. One I saw in theaters was the new movie Silent Night. That stars Joel Kinnaman and is directed by John Woo. And it's solid, but nothing that I would, say you have to go out and see at any point. I think it's been mismarketed a little bit. I'd say John Woo on an off day is better than most directors, but is definitely one I think you got to kind of be in the mood for overall. And I thought it was just good, not anything too crazy. I think part of that was because, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and follow up on it, I watched the Raid 2 as well this week. So I watched the Raid 1 maybe 2 weeks ago now. And if you're going to have an action movie coming off that one, it's got to be something spectacular, and it just was not in the same realm. So if you want a really good action movie, go watch The Raid or The Raid 2 on Netflix. And the other thing I got to was a gap in my film watching background, which maybe some of you guys have seen. If anyone, I would say Adam probably at some point for class. But I watched Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
I love the extended title of that. You just bought that on 4K?
I did, yeah. It was one of my things that I was going away from Best Buy, and I bought that while I was on my way out. So
you bought like 24 movies.
I did, yeah, I did. Yeah. So that's Stanley Kubrick. I want to say 19.
It's like 59, I think.
1964. 1964. Damn. Shot in black and white. Still like eerily prescient, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's still, you can totally see it happening today. Right. Just kind of the way everyone.
I have seen it, by the way. I did see it. I didn't see it for any of my film stuff in college. I saw it in high school. My AP Lang teacher, shout out Mr. McCulloch. He played it for us at some point. I forgot why. Yeah, he showed it to us.
So yeah, that's a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. Very funny, still very eerily accurate, it feels like. And yeah, definitely worth watching. So that's what I got to this week. Tyler, we'll go over to you, sir.
I didn't really get to a ton. We've been keeping Will and Grace just kind of in on the background. As far as movies go, I can't remember if there was one that we watched. I don't think so. But anyways, as far as TV goes, I've been kind of back on a Spartacus kick.
Okay.
Yeah. Always liked that TV series. It was one of those ones that was like before Game of Thrones. Yep. Yeah, I always thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was one that like Justin, Ryan, and Rob and myself always kind of talked about. So killer show. But I'm like halfway through like the first season on that.
That's what I was gonna ask. If you're gonna go first season.
Yeah, may as well. No anime, and just been playing a ton of Star Wars and Call of Duty.
There you go.
Yeah, that's really it. Blake?
Didn't get to too much this week. Honestly, been obviously watched a ton of football over the weekend. Watched the Lakers game the other day. So that's that in-season tournament. Nathaniel chatted us.
Yep.
Okay, so they narrowed down to the semifinals that are going to take place in Vegas. I think it's next week. I don't know, but it's I think it's Lakers, Pelicans, Pacers.
It's tomorrow. No, it's this weekend. I'm pretty sure it's this weekend. They play tomorrow. Is it? Wait, mid-season tournament. I thought it was tomorrow because I remember the Pacers playing tomorrow. There's another semifinals match tomorrow. Yeah, no, the semifinals first one's tomorrow.
Okay, so maybe it's this weekend. I guess, but yeah, that's pretty much all I've watched.
Are they both tomorrow? Yeah, I've also been watching a lot of basketball. Oh yeah, semifinals are tomorrow. Championship is on Saturday. Yeah, as I mentioned last week, I got NBA League Pass, so I've just been trying to get my money's worth out of that. Just been watching a lot of basketball, just having it on the background. Have it on the background right now. Just been fun to watch. Good season so far. The in-season tournament's been great. Did you watch that Pacers game the other night, Blake? Pacers, Celtics.
I did. That was Pacers.
Celtics, yeah.
That's who it was, yes.
Yeah. Good game. Great game. And the Pacers, dude, out of nowhere are just
their point guard's really good.
Yeah. Halliburton, yeah, he's really good. I've decided I'm rooting for the Sacramento Kings now. Now that the Bulls are just back to being the Bulls. So yeah, I'm a Kings fan now. Everybody, light the beam.
No, the Bulls are. I don't think I've watched a single Bulls game this entire year, to be honest with you.
Well, I've watched half of one, and I would watch more, but it's blacked out on NBA League Pass because of the area that I'm in, and that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, I can't watch Bulls games until I can watch the VOD 3 days after the game airs, but I don't really feel like watching them lose 3 days after they've lost. So,
I mean, as a Sacramento kid, I welcome you to the Kings fan base. Obviously,
yeah,
light the beam.
Light the beam, baby. I'm all about it. But yeah, they're my team this season right now. I've got De'Aaron Fox on 2 of my fantasy teams, so really pulling for him.
I also, I think I texted the group chat. I've decided on a college football team now as well too. Going for
Florida State.
Oh yeah,
the Montana
Grizzlies.
What?
FCS, man.
I didn't.
That's where it's at.
Football, man. I'm with you.
Okay. Well, I missed that part, but
I think you had COVID.
They're in the quarter. They're in the quarterfinals right now.
They are.
to my
They are.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that. So
I
they
think-
got a chance.
Anyone
They
care
got
to
a chance
Blake?
at doing it?
You're a college football guy, Blake. You care to comment on the FSU situation?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's tough because it's one of those things where it's either the 4 most deserving teams
Right.
or the 4 best teams. Like last year, TCU beat Michigan. That's awesome. Great story. They played Alabama in the championship, or they played Georgia in the championship game, pardon me.
Yeah.
But Georgia was on their way to repeating, and they lost like fucking 73-10.
I think it was
And I think
65
you could
to
argue
7.
that. Okay, and you could argue that,
Something
well,
like that.
TCU was not one of the 4 best teams in the country, regardless of what their record was. So I think you
Well, they
could
went
make the same
undefeated too,
case
didn't
for-
they?
No, they lost.
Or no,
one
they
game.
lost. They lost the Big 12 championship to Kansas State, right?
Yes,
That
they
was
did.
the only
That was
loss.
the lone
They went
loss.
12-1,
But,
I think. Yeah.
Correct. But I think you can make the same case to be said for Florida State. Like they went undefeated. It's hard to punish them for that, but I simply don't think they're better than any of the top 7 teams, to be completely honest with you. So
I would agree.
it's tough, man. It's tough because
very
you're-
torn,
You're,
and-
you're only as good as the people you play. They beat
Yeah.
everybody who lined up in front of them. So I hear it in theory, but yeah, I don't know. If it's supposed to be the best 4 teams, I don't think Florida State can be in there.
Especially without their starting QB. I mean, I didn't watch the game against Louisville, but they only won by 6 points. I think it was 16.
Yeah, I
10 or
watched the
something like
game and it was they're just
that. Right. Offensively, they have nothing going.
they're
So
challenged offensively.
yeah,
for sure.
and I think if you put them head to head against Alabama, I genuinely think Alabama would win that game 9 out of 10 times. So
Oh yeah, probably by 15, 20 plus points. Same with
Right,
Georgia,
right.
same with Texas, same with Oregon, same with Washington. So I think that's too, but it's tough for those kids because you went undefeated and you have a chance to
you
do
just
something.
get nothing for it, right? The extended playoffs are coming 1 year too late
Yeah, it's next
because
year.
not only would none of this be a problem if it was the 12-team playoff, but my Missouri Tigers would be the 9 seed to go and cause some upsets. So yeah, disappointing.
Lose
But,
first round. No.
we would kick the shit out of Oregon. All right, everyone calm down. Oregon's ass.
Well, I mean, while we're on the conversation of football, Green Bay all day, baby.
Oh, get out of here, bro. Yeah, whatever.
Upset the Chiefs, get fucked.
Whatever. Everyone's
Fuck you,
upset.
Taylor Swift. We got
here.
Simone Biles. Suck my ass.
Wait, Simone Biles? Who's she dating?
She's married.
She's married to our safety.
Yeah.
really?
Owens. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good for them.
She's done way more
I
important
was
things with her
I was
life.
gonna say she's out championshiped the whole team there. I think, like as an organization, she's probably more
Probably.
successful.
She'll go down in history as one of the most winning Olympic
Yeah.
like gymnast as a African American female like ever. She's fucking
not even
she's
just
incredible. Fuck you, Taylor Swift.
not even just
Just
as an
gymnast in
African
general,
American,
yeah.
just gymnast athlete. I think in general.
Or just Olympian, honestly. I mean, Does she have more than Michael Phelps?
I think
I
if
have
she
no
comes
idea.
out of retirement for 2024, she like has the shot. Man, I wouldn't put anything past that woman. She's insane.
Yeah.
Dude, she's got like 5 fucking gymnastic moves that are fucking named after her. She has moves that are just called the bile.
Right.
Or like fucking the Samoa. I'm like, what the fuck?
Just
Well, I saw a clip of hers not too long ago, and it was like a clip where like no one's ever done that in competition or like
She's crazy,
honestly even
dude.
attempted it, and like she landed it in a competition, and everyone was just kind of like, all right, no one ever try that again because she's the only person that can do that.
Physically, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah. And she's very lucky she did not like land on her head, basically. Like, please don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Simone Biles only.
Generational talent. Truly.
Yeah.
Taylor's gonna come out with another song as soon as her and Travis break up.
Hey, Taylor got Time Person of the Year, people. So
It's true.
I don't know. Which would you rather have? Time Person of the Year or all those gold medals? I'd probably have all those gold medals. Who cares about Biles? Yeah.
You know who else has
about
Man of the Year, Time Person of the Year? Hitler. So, you know.
Okay. Well, that's a comparison you can make.
I'm just saying, if we're talking Time Persons of the Year, Hitler ain't got any gold medals at the Olympics.
Are you defending Hitler right now?
No, I'm saying he's worse, objectively.
Okay.
Hitler, not as good as Simone
Biles. I can't tell what's
Biles.
going on. I'm just caught off guard right now. You're right. Hitler's not as good as Simone Biles. We can all agree on that one.
In fact,
hot take.
I'd say he's
might be a hot take.
I'm willing to say he's a lot worse. He's a net negative.
To say that?
I'm gonna go on the record and say, yeah, between Simone Biles and Hitler, Hitler's way lower. Simone Biles by a large margin.
I think we should move on for this conversation. Let's move on to our outro here, ladies and gentlemen. Nathaniel, any 5-star reviews?
No 5-star reviews this week, folks. But if you want to give us a 5-star review on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, we'll read it out here on the podcast.
We will do that. Promise. Scout's honor. Yeah, no emails, but if you want to send us an email, you can do that at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. We'll read most of those out on pod as well. While you're doing that, share the podcast. Excuse me. Share with a friend, a family member. Knight and his lowly or his.
If you happen to come across, if you happen to come across any world famous authors out there trudging, naked through the streets. Yep. Maybe say, hey, here's some clothes and here's a good pod to occupy your time.
Yeah, do that. Maybe we'll give it a listen. While you're doing that, follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube is just Back Row Banter. Go subscribe to us there, even if it's not your primary place of listening. We'd appreciate the subscription there, and you can listen there as well if you'd like. Yeah, BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things. Out of 5 stars. Yeah, we'll see. Actually, really anticipating this Godzilla Minus One. As you big Godzilla fan, I actually bought how big is it? Probably like a 12-inch Godzilla from Best Buy, and it's over here sitting on my entertainment console.
There you
I
go.
remember that.
3 weeks ago or so. Yeah, I bought that. So yeah, man.
You said you bought it 3 weeks ago. Didn't you buy another one?
No, it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I want to say.
Oh, you
I don't
know,
if I sent a
buy
picture
like
to the chat.
didn't you buy like one of the horror ones, like the Michael Myers ones or something like that when those were
Yeah,
out?
I bought a Hellraiser one.
Maybe that's what it was.
One. Yeah, I bought Pinhead. But then I bought a Godzilla one the other week too. So yeah, man, big Godzilla fan. So definitely anticipating this one. It should be pretty good. I've heard it also has some like horror themes as well involved in it. So it should be all right, man. Let's go to Ty.
You can find me at or on or places such as Letterboxd, Instagram, and X. All Tyler Dallas. TYLER.
Perfect.
Wow, very hard name to spell.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
That's
Thank you
the
for
one.
It's because
clarifying.
I usually
Spell the
usually
last
spell
name.
my last name. Yeah, so switch it up.
Sure.
You can find
Nathaniel, did you go yet?
Nope, but you can find me on Twitter and
Yeah.
Letterboxd at @nsgingrick. You can find me on Instagram, NathanielG92. Adam, bring us home, bud.
I'm on Twitter at Aish and on Letterboxd at Aish. Sorry, Twitter's Aish24. Forgot the numbers. Forgot the digits. Speaking of digits, thank you all for listening to episode 171, a palindrome episode. Those are my favorite, personally. Yeah, thank you all for listening. Especially if you made it this far into the episode, you're my favorite type of listener, and we really, really do appreciate it. Join us next week for our review of Godzilla Minus One. We'll be RB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Appreciate you stopping by as always, and anything you can do to help us grow. Thanks for coming back, and we'll see you next week. And just keep passing on love, and we'll be RB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. We wouldn't be able to continue this podcast if it wasn't for you. So happy holidays, everybody. Hope everyone's staying safe and warm. And we'll be RB.
I'm America. Ready for another lesson.
But yeah, COD next year. Might have to get that one. I don't know.
Who knows where COD's going?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Who knows where the gaming market's going to, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like there hasn't been like a must-play game in a while. I mean, I say that, and it's mainly just like multiplayer games. I feel like on the single-player side of things, like we've had some very good games come out the past few years. I've just been very out on single-player games.
Sure.
Yeah, dude,
God of
fucking
War.
like tons of stuff.
God of War, Spider-Man,
I need
Last
to
of
play the new
Us.
Spider-Man. I gotta fucking play that.
There's, you had what's the one Souls like that came out the
Elden
other Elden Ring, yeah. So single player side of
Starfield.
things, Starfield, like single player side of things, gaming's doing great.
Yeah.
But I think I've just transitioned into like, I wouldn't say an exclusively multiplayer gamer, but like that's kind of what I play games for now, is like to play with my friends.
Of course, yeah. And talk to so you lose all that shit. It's hard to continuously play single player. Even it's tough, man. That's probably why I haven't completed God of War Ragnarok, but that game is
I just want to
awesome.
I want to play with my friends, and I want to play against other people. Like that's where a lot of the fun in gaming is for me at this point.
Yep.
And I hope at one point I just flip that switch and I go, I'm just gonna binge all of the single player games from the last 20 years that I've missed and just catch up on all of those at some point. Because there's been
different
a lot
experience.
of them. Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to. I've been itching kind of to go back and restart Pokemon. What was the last one again? Scarlet and Violet.
Mm-hmm.
What's the last single player game you've completed for the group?
I just finished Starfield, and then I also beat the storyline for Need for Speed Unbound. And then I'm on my
How was
way.
that? That's one I was actually coming across, like possibly getting.
It was okay. I didn't mind it. The animation is not always what I wanted it to be, but overall, I still had fun with it for sure.
Yeah.
Actual like story game that I completed was probably The Last of Us 2. As sad as that is, because that was 2021, I think, or 2020. I think it was pandemic year. I think it was 2020. I think that's the last full single player game. And then like non-multiplayer game, I guess you could call it single player, but it's Hades. It's like a top down. Yeah, Hades is really good. but it's like a top-down kind of beat-em-up game. Got great graphics, and it's like not really a story game. It's a rogue-like. So like every time you die, you start from the beginning, and you have to make a clean run all the way through. One of those.
Okay.
That game was really, really good, and that's probably the last like non-multiplayer game that I finished. But that was also like 2020 or 2021 that I finished that one.
Right.
So since then, I really can't think of a game I've played all the way through. I've started a couple, Pokemon being the main one. I bought Pokemon the Diamond remake, and I bought Scarlet, and I just haven't finished either of them, which is rare because I've been cooking on Pokemon before those two. I just haven't had the itch to like play Pokemons in a while, but I'm kind of getting that right now, so I might go back to Scarlet, I think, pretty soon.
I think the last single player campaign I finished was the original Spider-Man in like 2019 or
from like 2001.
Is that in real time
on the GameCube?
No, the one on PS4 or
PlayStation 1. So you're talking about in real time though, like you beat that in 2018.
Yeah. I've played a lot of games since then, but I don't think I've beaten one. Like
Sure,
I have so many that like I will. No, I take that back. Fire Emblem, Three Houses. I beat that. That was in like 2020 or whatever on my Switch.
Yeah.
But I have so many games that I will like dump 70 hours into and get them like 80% complete, and then I'll just be like, okay, I'm done, and then just move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's got to be special to get that not even 100% complete, or even just kind of make your way through the main storyline. I mean, it's to your point. I think I'm with the group though. Outside of Tyler, he seems like he's done it most recent. The last game I completed solo campaign's got to be. I think off the top of my head, it's probably The Quarry, which is.
It's funny. I've been watching people play that recently.
It's an awesome game to play, right? And it fits my horror itch. But it's also kind of like it's like an Until Dawn, right? To explain it to the user, where it's very interactive, but like you have a set of characters, you make decisions. Do you want to open this door? Do you want to take this path? Do you want to do that? And you're trying to solve a case of what's going on at like this campground, like a Friday the 13th type of vibe. And I finished that. That's got to be summer 21. Something like that, spring 21, and I think that's the last thing I've finished. So I haven't even finished Ragnarok, which came out that fall. I'm close to finishing Ragnarok. It's just fucking takes forever, man.
I get you.
Yeah, and then I want to say you did Ragnarok. There was another one. What was I just thinking of? Oh, you never went back to Dead Space? Yeah, Dead Space. You had that. Didn't you buy the remake?
I didn't buy it. No, I was going to buy the remake. So they remastered the original Dead Space.
Right.
And then they had I don't want to say a remake. It was like a sequel. It was from the same developer. Castillo Protocol. That came out for I think Dead Space remake. Maybe about 3 or 4 months before the Dead Space remake.
Both came out last year, I think, right?
Yep, that sounds right. Yeah, probably mid last year. But I did not buy Castillo Protocol. I should have, but I heard it came out really buggy when it first came out. What everybody was kind of saying in the horror community, video game wise, was that if you wanted to play a horror video game at that point, you were better off just buying like the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Sure.
Which I heard nothing but good things about in terms of.
I heard that one was great.
Yeah. So.
Although I think that was this year, because I think that was early this year. Yeah,
I think that was early this year. 2022 was the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Right,
that's pretty good as well. That's the one that's like the actual outbreak in the city, where you're the detective. Right. So yeah, it's nonetheless it's been decent. Funny enough, real quick on that, I've came across there was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game that just came out, kind of like what's the Friday the 13th game? Is it called Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Or Dead or Alive?
Something like that.
No, not Dead or Alive.
That's a fighting game, which was a really cool fighting game.
Dead or Alive's a fighting game. The one you're thinking of, Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. Thank you. So there's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that just came out probably within the past month, and I've been seeing a lot of people play that online on YouTube, and it looks pretty fun. And you're just trying to escape a crazy ass incest cannibal family. So I think
Love
you either
that.
play as Leatherface or you play with like a set of the 3 characters who are trying to escape. So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe I'll swing back in to some single player games this winter. This should say all you need to know, and maybe I'll just end my discussion on this topic here. But I haven't even played the Halo Infinite campaign yet, and that's saying a lot. Because every time I hop on that game, I just want to play multiplayer.
Yeah.
Is that the newest Halo?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay. That's the one you were doing the tournaments for, correct?
Right, yeah. But I
Okay,
haven't
yeah.
played, and it's only like a 10-hour campaign. I don't think it's that long, but I just haven't like had the will to or the want to just sit down and play that all the way through.